good morning, or good evening, depending on when you are choosing to join me in this conversation. I want to start today by asking you to visualize a very specific moment. A moment that I suspect many of you know intimately, perhaps too intimately. Imagine it is a Saturday afternoon. You have decided to go to a local garden center. You are looking for a few plants for your patio. You arrive, you park the car, and you start walking through the aisles. You walk past the roses, past the fruit trees. The sun is shining, the air smells of soil and greenery. You are walking at a slow, steady pace. You cover maybe half a mile, wandering up and down the rows. You feel good. Your breathing is easy. Your legs feel strong. You feel capable. Now imagine you have chosen your plants and you head to the checkout counter. It's the busy season. There is a line, a long line. You stop walking. You stand behind a young couple with a cart full of soil bags. You place your hands on your hips. You wait. 1 minute passes. The line doesn't move. 2 minutes pass. You shift your weight to your right leg. 3 minutes. You shift your weight to your left leg. And suddenly there it is, that familiar creeping sensation. A dull, heavy ache begins to bloom in your lower back. Your calves start to feel tight, almost swollen. You feel a strange sense of exhaustion washing over you, an exhaustion that feels completely disproportionate to the activity. You think to yourself, I just walked for 30 minutes and felt fine. Why does standing here for 5 minutes make me feel like I've run a marathon? You look around for a bench. You look for a wall to lean on. You start to feel irritable. You wonder, is something wrong with me? Am I getting lazy? Is my endurance gone? I am here to tell you today, as a physician and a professor who has observed the human body for over 3 decades, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not lazy, and your endurance is not failing. What you are experiencing is one of the most common, yet least understood, physiological paradoxes of aging. It is a phenomenon I call the active stillness paradox. The premise of our talk today is simple but revolutionary for your understanding of your own body. Standing still is harder than walking. Especially after the age of 60, standing still is not a passive act of rest. It is a highly demanding, energy-intensive, and neurologically complex athletic event. Today, we are going to take a deep, scientific journey into your body to understand why. We are going to look at the physics of gravity, the hydraulics of your blood flow, the chemistry of your muscles, and the wiring of your nervous system. By the end of this lecture, you will not only understand why that line at the grocery store is your nemesis, but you will also know exactly how to defeat it. The illusion of the statue. Let's begin by dismantling a myth we have believed since childhood. We tend to categorize human movement into 2 boxes, moving and resting. We think walking is work because it burns calories, and we think standing still is rest because we aren't going anywhere. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of biomechanics. To a physicist, a human being standing upright is an engineering nightmare. Imagine taking a broomstick and trying to balance it upright on the palm of your hand. What do you have to do? Can you just hold your hand perfectly still? No, you have to constantly move your hand. You have to adjust left, adjust right, forward, back. The broomstick is top-heavy and unstable. If you stop those micro adjustments for even a second, the broomstick falls. You, my friend, are the broomstick. Your body is a tall, segmented tower. You have a heavy head balanced on a flexible neck, balanced on a heavy torso, balanced on unstable hips, balanced on knees that bend, all supported by 2 relatively small platforms, your feet. Gravity is constantly trying to pull this tower down. Every single second you are upright, gravity is whispering, fall forward, fall backward. When you are standing still, you are not actually still. If I were to put you on a specialized piece of equipment called a force plate, which we use in university labs to study balance, and ask you to stand as still as a statue, the computer screen would show something fascinating. You are swaying. It is a microscopic movement, often invisible to the naked eye. You are constantly tracing a tiny chaotic pattern, a figure 8 or a spiral. This is called postural sway. Why does this matter? Because maintaining this sway requires your brain to perform a high-speed, continuous calculation. Your brain is receiving data from your eyes, your inner ear, and the soles of your feet. It takes this data and sends rapid-fire electrical signals to the muscles in your calves, the soleus and gastrocnemius, the muscles in your thighs, and the tiny stabilizer muscles along your spine. Contract left. Relax right. Now contract right. Pitch forward. Pull back. This happens thousands of times per minute. When you are standing in line at the bank, you think you are doing nothing. But biologically, you are piloting a fighter jet. You are constantly correcting course to prevent a crash. The aging software update. Now here is where age enters the equation. And I want to be very clear. When I say age, I am not talking about decline. I am talking about adaptation. When you are 25 years old, the communication lines between your feet and your brain are fiber optic cables. They are lightning fast. The sensors in your skin and joints, proprioceptors, are incredibly sensitive. If you sway 1 millimeter off center, your brain corrects it instantly with a tiny twitch of a muscle. It's efficient. It costs almost no energy. You don't even notice it. As we enter our 60s and 70s, two subtle changes occur. First, the signal speed in our nerves slows down just a fraction. It's natural. Second, the sensors in our feet become slightly less sensitive. We don't feel the texture of the ground quite as sharply as we did. So, your brain, which is an incredibly smart survival machine, changes its strategy. It realizes, I'm not getting the data quite as fast as I used to. If I wait for the sway to happen, I might react too late and we might fall. So I'm going to change the protocol. The brain shifts from a strategy of relax and react to a strategy of stiffen and protect. Instead of letting you sway loosely and correcting it, the brain commands your muscles to hold a constant low-level tension. It essentially locks your joints. It tightens the calves, tightens the hamstrings, and tightens the lower back. It turns you into a rigid structure because a rigid structure feels safer to the brain than a loose one. This is the hidden cost of standing still. When you walk, you are dynamic. But when you stand, your brain is actively fighting gravity by burning energy to keep your muscles tight. This co-contraction, where muscles on both sides of the joint pull at the same time, is exhausting. It produces metabolic waste. It uses up sugar and oxygen. So, when you are standing in that checkout line, looking calm on the outside, your internal systems are working overdrive just to keep you rigid. That is why you feel tired. You are effectively holding a plank position, just vertically. The physics of the inverted pendulum. Let's go a step deeper into physics. I promise to keep this simple, but it is fascinating. When you walk, you act like an inverted pendulum. Think about how you walk. You lean forward, you fall, and you catch yourself with your foot. Then you vault over that stiff leg and fall again to the next foot. It sounds chaotic, but it is incredibly energy efficient. Why? Because you are using momentum. Once you get moving, Newton's first law of motion helps you. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. The swing of your leg carries free energy. The elastic recoil of your Achilles tendon acts like a spring, storing energy when you land and releasing it when you push off. You get a free ride for a portion of every step. Walking is rhythmic. It is a cycle of work, rest, work, rest. With every step, your muscles contract, and then for a split second, as the leg swings through the air, they relax. They get a micro break. Blood flows in. Waste flows out. Now contrast that with standing. Standing has no momentum. There is no kinetic energy helping you. There is no swing phase where the muscles get to relax. Standing is pure, unassisted opposition to gravity. You are asking your muscles to hold your weight up without the help of inertia. It is like asking a car to sit on a steep hill, using only the clutch to hold it in place, rather than using the parking brake. You are riding the clutch. You are burning fuel just to stay in one spot. This lack of mechanical assistance is the first major reason why a 30-minute walk feels refreshing, but a 10-minute stand feels draining. In walking, physics is your partner. In standing, physics is your adversary. The hydraulic machine, your second heart. Now let's move away from the nerves and physics for a moment and talk about the plumbing. This is perhaps the single most tangible reason why you feel better walking than standing. It comes down to a battle between your heart and gravity. Your heart is a magnificent pump. It is powerful and resilient, but it has a design flaw, or rather a limitation. It is located high up in your chest. It has absolutely no trouble pumping oxygenated blood down to your toes. Gravity helps with that. It's effortless. The problem is getting that blood back up. The blood has to travel from your feet, up your legs, through the abdomen, all the way back to the heart and lungs to be reoxygenated. That is a vertical climb of 3 or 4 feet directly against the pull of gravity. The veins in your legs are designed to handle this. They have a series of tiny one-way valves. These valves open to let blood up and close to stop it from falling back down. But here is the secret. The heart on its own is not strong enough to suction that blood back up efficiently. from the feet while you are standing upright. The pressure required would be too high, so the body has a helper, a backup system. We call it the skeletal muscle pump, or simply the second heart. This second heart is your calf muscle. Every time you take a step, your foot flexes. The calf muscle contracts powerfully. When it contracts, it squeezes the deep veins buried inside the leg. Whoosh! It shoots a column of blood upward, toward the heart. Then, as you lift your foot and swing it forward, the muscle relaxes. The valves close to catch the blood and the vein refills from the bottom. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. When you are walking, you are mechanically assisting your circulation. You are essentially milking the fluid out of your legs and sending it back to the chest. This keeps the pressure in your leg veins low. It keeps the oxygen cycling. It keeps the tissue fresh. Now picture yourself back at that kitchen counter peeling potatoes. You are standing still. You have turned off the second heart. Because your legs are not moving rhythmically, the calf muscles are not pumping. They are just holding tension. The blood flow slows down. Gravity begins to win. The blood starts to pool in the veins of your lower legs and feet. This increases the hydrostatic pressure inside the veins. Fluid starts to leak out of the tiny capillaries and into the surrounding tissue. This is why after 20 minutes of standing, your ankles might look a little puffy, or your shoes might feel tighter than they did an hour ago. But before you even see the swelling, you feel it. The tissue signals distress. It feels heavy. It feels lead-like. Some patients describe it as a bursting sensation or a deep throbbing ache. This is not muscle fatigue in the traditional sense. This is congestion. Your legs are crying out for flow. They prefer walking because walking solves the gravity problem. Standing creates a gravity problem. The chemistry of holding on. There is another layer to this, which happens at the microscopic level of your muscle fibers. It explains why standing feels like a burn. In exercise physiology, we distinguish between two types of muscle contractions, isotonic and isometric. An isotonic contraction is movement. It's what happens when you lift a fork to your mouth or take a step. The muscle shortens, the joint moves, and then the muscle lengthens. It is dynamic. An isometric contraction is stillness. It is tension without movement. Imagine holding a heavy box straight out in front of you. You aren't moving the box, but your arms are shaking. That is isometric work. Which is harder, lifting a box up and down 10 times, or holding it perfectly still in the air for 2 minutes? Holding it is much harder. Here is why. When a muscle contracts and stays contracted, like in standing, it squeezes the blood vessels that run through it. It acts like a tourniquet. It restricts fresh blood from getting into the muscle belly. So, while you are standing there, your stabilizer muscles are working hard to hold you up, but they are starving themselves of oxygen because the sustained tension is pinching off their own fuel supply. Without enough oxygen, the muscles switch to anaerobic metabolism. This produces waste products, specifically lactate and acidic metabolites. Since the blood isn't flowing briskly to wash these waste products away, they build up. This acidity irritates the nerve endings in the muscle. This is that burning sensation you feel in your glutes or your lower back when you stand too long. It is a chemical alarm bell. Your body is saying, the air quality down here is getting bad. Please move so we can flush the system. When you walk, the rhythmic contraction-relaxation cycle acts like a pump not just for blood, but for waste. You are constantly flushing the engine. Standing leaves the engine running with the garage door closed. The shopping cart. Secret, your spine's preference. Now I want to address the specific ache that many of you feel in your lower back. This is perhaps the most specific over 60 complaint. Think about the grocery store again. When you finally reach your car, or if you grab the handle of a shopping cart, what is the very first thing you do? Almost instinctively, you put your weight on the handle of the cart, and you let your upper body tilt forward just 10 or 15 degrees. And in that moment, you likely feel an almost audible sigh of relief from your lower back and legs. Why does that tiny forward lean feel so good? It comes down to the architecture of your spine. When you stand perfectly upright, at attention, the natural curve in your lower back tightens. This slightly narrows the small windows where the nerves exit your spine to travel down to your legs. If there is even a little bit of wear and tear from age, standing straight closes that space down just enough to irritate those nerves. That irritation is what causes that feeling of heaviness or weakness. But when you lean on the cart or when you walk, you naturally bend forward. That motion acts like a hinge. It physically opens those windows at the back of the spine. It gives your nerves room to breathe. So please understand, when you lean on that cart, you aren't being lazy. You are intuitively treating yourself. You are mechanically decompressing your own spine. Strategies for the active stander. Now we have dismantled the machinery. We know that standing stops the blood flow, tires the muscles, and compresses the spine. So how do we live with this? We can't avoid lines forever. We can't avoid cooking dinner. We don't need medication to solve this. We need better engineering. I want to give you 3 specific strategies to turn you from a passive stander into an active stander. Strategy number 1, the step stance. I want you to make a promise to yourself today. Never stand with your feet parallel again. When we stand with feet side by side, we are unstable. We rely heavily on our lower back to keep from tipping over. Instead, whenever you are in a line, adopt a staggered stance. Put one foot slightly in front of the other, perhaps 6 inches, like you are about to take a step, but you froze. This widens your base of support. It immediately takes the pressure off the balance center in your brain. You will feel your lower back relax because you are physically more stable. After 2 minutes, switch legs. It is simple, invisible to others, but profound for your endurance. Strategy number 2, the cabinet trick. We just learned that leaning forward helps the back. But you can't lean forward while washing dishes or chopping vegetables. So do this instead. Open the cabinet door beneath your sink. Put one foot up on the inside ledge. Or keep a small step stool in the kitchen. Why? Because lifting one leg flexes the hip. When you flex the hip, it rotates your pelvis and flattens that curve in your lower back. It opens the windows for your nerves, just like leaning on the cart does. Alternating your feet on a small step, stool is the single most effective way to eliminate that. While kitchen fatigue. Strategy number 3, active idling. Finally, if you are forced to stand with no props, say, at a cocktail party, refuse to be a statue. Be a shark. Sharks die if they stop moving. Do subtle calf raises. Just lift your heels 1 inch off the ground and drop them. Do this 10 times. Remember the second heart? This manual pumping action shoots the pooling blood back up to your chest. It flushes the exhaust out of your muscles. By keeping your calves moving, you prevent that heavy, lead-like feeling from ever setting in. Conclusion: the wisdom of the body. As we conclude, I want you to take a deep breath and reframe how you view your body. I see so many patients who stop going out, stop visiting museums, or stop shopping because they are afraid of this fatigue. They think it is the beginning of the end. They think their body is failing. It is not. The fact that walking feels easier than standing is not a failure. It is a testament to your design. You are biologically a hunter-gatherer. You were built to move, to trek, to flow. You were not designed to stand still on concrete floors. Your body is simply telling you, I am a flow machine. Do not park me. So, listen to it. Be the person who stretches in line. Be the person who puts their foot up on the rail. There is a dignity in understanding your own biology. You aren't failing at standing. You are succeeding at listening to a body that has served you well for decades. It wants to move. It wants to help you. So, give it what it needs: rhythm, flow, and a little bit of grace. Thank you for your time today.